And I ask you now to join me in saying, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all the good I am and have, all the good I give and receive. I am prosperous now, and so it is. And now, I invite you to relax in this moment. Take a few deep breaths, putting your day and your week aside, everything that's happened before, everything that's coming up, just let it go for now. Breathe in the cool, crisp air. Breathe out all that no longer serves you. Relax your shoulders. Let your face just rest. If you feel so inclined, go ahead and close your eyes. That's okay. Allow your mind to be here now. Universal love enfolds me. Universal wisdom inspires me. Universal spirit enlightens me. Universal power encircles me. I am one, and all is well. As we begin the inner healing process, let me invite you to relax in quiet confidence, opening yourself to the miracle-working higher power. Now symbolize the unity of your thinking and feeling nature by touching your chest with your right hand, and let my words act as your own for your own inner healing, acceptance, and receptivity. I acknowledge that there is a power, intelligence, and wisdom greater than my own. I am in the midst of it, and it is in the midst of me, sensitive and responsive to my every thought, word, action, and feeling. I now make this true for myself by saying aloud, I acknowledge. Acknowledging the higher power working through my life, I admit that I am personally responsible for solving my own problems while being guided and assisted by something greater than myself. As I am ready to surrender the conflicts of my ego to the wisdom of the infinite presence, I simply speak these words: I surrender. Knowing that forgiveness is the key to unconditional love and the feeling of heaven, I now unconditionally forgive anyone and everyone who has ever injured me in any way, real or imagined. And I now forgive myself for all my mistaken judgments and their resulting actions. From my deepest level of understanding, I now say, I forgive. Realizing that I continually experience the effects of my own thinking, I now choose to allow this higher power to recreate me deeply, filling my mind with thoughts that are only constructive, positive, loving, and beautiful. I call upon this divine inflow by stating aloud, I choose. I now center upon that one special idea that I'm willing to accept as real for me in this coming week. Visualizing the idea as already acted upon and brought to pass. In seeing my idea become a fact of my experience, I enjoy the happiness and peace of my thought fulfilled and gratefully speak these words: I accept. Knowing that I have an everlasting place in the midst of the power that sustains all creation, as well as the support of all those around me. I allow myself to relax in the peace of fulfillment and gratitude and say, I release. Now, in my mind's eye, I envision the presence of someone near and dear to me. This can be a friend, a family member, a teacher or mentor, someone who has touched my life in deep and loving ways. Someone who may not be physically present in a room with me this morning. I turn and greet that person in my mind's eye and say, I am grateful for the good in your life. I now open my eyes and turn to the world around me and speak joyfully to anyone physically in the room or virtually on this program and share in gratitude and confidence in saying, I am grateful for the good in your life.
So I welcome you here today for part 3 of 4 on Neville's seed time and harvest, more or less. Now, next week, as you've already heard, is going to be different. Yeah, it's going to be different. We're going to have a lot of music from Brian and his daughter and friends, and we're going to have several little bitty talks from me and other surprises that I won't, well, they wouldn't be surprised if I told you what they are. But we're going to look back, we're going to look within, and we're going to look forward. I was thinking today, I'd love to have another 35 years to do this. I'll be 99. Won't that be a kick? You think? I bet we'd get some press coverage. 99-year-old minister at 70th anniversary. That'd be awesome. Why not, you know? But you got to come with me. All of you, everybody out there in TV land, you got to come along too. Sure you can. Just get plenty of sleep in the meantime. Eat right, do the right thing. So in the first week of all of this, I shared with you his the four great powers of mind, the 4 great practices of spirituality that are to conceive, dramatize, rehearse, and perform. And he spoke of life as a theatrical experience where you have a producer and you have an author and then you have a director and then you have the actor. And these are the 4 different roles that are played all within the self in the creation of a life experience. First you conceive, dramatize, rehearse, and perform. You come up with the idea, you dramatize it, you create a script to it, then you rehearse the script, then you perform the script. And I mentioned how when you perform, you interpret in some way. And I remember watching, I should have looked this up, but Kevin Kline, the actor, at one of the Academy Awards ceremonies, recited a passage of Shakespeare that speaks about acting. And it's a passage that if I were to start, if I had it in front of me, and I started reading it to you, you'd immediately recognize that you've heard it many, many times in many different venues. And he had just finished filming Shakespeare after doing Shakespeare on the stage for quite some time. Kevin Kline did. Well, in reciting this monologue, he nuanced it. I don't know how he did it, but he gave it inflections and tones and stuff that related it to a room full of acting people at an awards ceremony without changing one word, so that people were laughing. People were laughing really hard. People were laughing so hard, I mean, it was kind of overtaking what he was saying by just influencing the words, not changing a comma. How do you do that? Well, that's a gift. That is a true gift. Here's the thing. You're given that gift, and I'm given that gift in our own lives. It might take me several lifetimes to be able to do that with Shakespeare, but it's taking me this lifetime to do it with Jesse. You see what I mean? So we're working within the self in nuancing and interpreting the script of life that we have. What is the script of life? Well, part of it was written before he got here, wasn't it? You know, they talk about the hand you were dealt. And so the family you were born into, the society you were born into, the body you were born into, all of this stuff, it seems to have been furnished. Now, how are you going to nuance it in a certain way? How are you going to turn it to your advantage? You can do this. You can do this. You were born with that gift too. And in fact, that move into the interpretation of the life that you are is, in my opinion, the reason that you incarnated at all, the reason that we're here. Otherwise, we would have remained, if you will, undifferentiated spirit. This question comes up a lot in the people who discuss kind of the big philosophical, what's the meaning of life sort of things. It's like, why was all this necessary? Why are we even here? What is the purpose of life? What is it to attain? What is it to achieve? Well, I believe, I don't need proof for it, but here you are, you know. I believe that what we're here to do is to just be ourselves. Richard Bach, author of Illusions, Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and so on, he says that man, humankind, is the otter of the universe, O-T-T-E-R, otter of the universe. Why? What do otters do? Nothing. They swim round on their backs and gather somehow stones, and with one forepaw and with the other forepaw gather up shellfish, seafood, mussels, oysters, clams, whatever are around, and they place the shellfish on their chest with one forepaw, and with the other, with the rock, they smash it open and they eat it. And this is how, okay, this is the equivalent of bonbons, you know, for humans, right? Like, you know, reclining and all of this. This is how they sleep, they eat, they swim, and they mate. And that's basically an otter's life. And his statement that this is who we are in the universe flies in the face of everything we were taught, which was your job is to learn lots of stuff, make money, work hard, you know, keep all of these balls, and especially look good while you're doing it. Okay? Make it look easy, don't break a sweat. And keep up with everybody else, whatever they're doing. And if you can't keep up with what they're doing, then be sarcastic and nasty about what they're doing, so you diminish it where it looks like, you know, now, this is why I'm not good at that, is because I'm not interested, you see. So this is kind of what we were schooled in, is like, you know, if you're not good at it, then it can't be important. But of course, it is to somebody. All of that's inauthentic if it's not driven from the place of, I'm enough already. I came here enough. When I was this tall, I was enough. And all the rest is lagniappe, you know? Learning and growing and doing and accomplishing all of that is a bonus, because I am enough. And I am enough theologically. I am enough with my maker, with my creator, just by drawing breath in this world. I have accomplished my life's purpose. And everything else is added on. Now, I can't help but judge. I can't help but look at myself and the world, especially myself, you know, and think, I can make some improvements there. He talks about, Neville does, in his other book, one of his other books, Your Faith is Your Fortune. He talks about looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're not sure you like what you see. So your inclination is to change the mirror, break the mirror, reverse the mirror, get a new mirror, replace the mirror. There's got to be the right kind of mirror. But you can also change the lighting. This occurred to me, that you can change the lighting in the mirror, and I've been learning this on Zoom. Lisa put this amazing meme on our Facebook page. Do you recall? It was like yesterday it went up. It says a Zoom call is like a seance. Elizabeth, are you there? Is anyone with you? Can you hear me? Well, I'm on Zoom a lot, and you probably are too. And I notice I have a lot of desk lamps around me at the house. I got these cool kind of Art Deco looking things, and one of them is over my left shoulder, and it makes me look funny. It kind of, I have this half moon kind of face, so I click it off, and then everything's. And then I was talking to Donald John Lewis, with whom I'm having this conversation a week from Wednesday, and we were talking about ring lights. So I'm going to look into ring lights, you know. Why? Because I want to look pretty on Zoom. The thing is, you never look to yourself like you look to others. I've noticed that when you're recorded and you see the playback, the lighting and the composition is all different than it is in real time in the speaker view on Zoom. But if I look at myself and I say, you know, I'm looking a little sallow, or I'm looking a little this, or maybe I should wear a hat, or the headphones are indenting my head, which they do if they leave them on long enough, because I got them with a voice recognition program, this amazing headset, you know, and I look like an airline pilot or something wearing it. If I look at all of that and I say it could be tweaked, that's one thing. When I look at all that and I say I am less than, I do not match up, there's something wrong here, that's another thing. And that's where he says, leave the mirror and change your face. Ow! Change your face. How? Like in the movies. You just pull your face off. It means change the interior of you that's viewing your world, viewing yourself in your world, viewing the whole process unfolding. Change your perspective about yourself. How do you do that? You jump ahead to how you would have it be if you could have it be any way at all. You jump ahead in your mind. What is it you really want? I've been listening to a lot of music this week. You know, that line from the song, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. You know, what is it? It's a time of questing. We had a quest here one year at Creative Life. We did a crazy thing. Every Sunday through, starting like in August, we put a clue in the Sunday printed program, and you had to assemble all of these clues, so you had to be here every Sunday. Smart thinking, huh? Got to come every week and get another piece of the puzzle. And you put all the pieces together, and it laid out a map for you. And the map took you around the property. And on a Wednesday night, we wrapped the whole thing up, and we directed everybody to a certain place on the campus where there was a prize. And somebody won the prize. And the whole point of that exercise was to show that life is a quest. Life is a journey. Life is about discovering more of the self. You're not here to do it. I just got through saying you're the otter of the universe. Are otters on a quest? No, but with apologies to Richard Bach, there's a little more to it than that. Because the otter has a fairly straightforward imagination, I would assume. Not being an otter, I don't know for sure, but I would assume that they're pretty much about, ooh, shellfish, ooh, more shellfish. You know, it's kind of a limited interest set. You and I have more going on upstairs than that. And so we want a journey. So I've been listening to a lot of music this week, and Lisa sent me a link to a reaction video. I love reaction videos, and that was terrific. And it was two young African-American men listening to Dolly Parton do Jolene for the first time. And immediately, like really just a few bars into the lyric of it, one of them says, I love storytelling songs. And I thought, I do too. It lays it out, right? Jolene is a real simple, straightforward song. There's not a lot of complex, stuff, not a lot of instrumentation, but it lays out a story of a woman with a hurting heart. And these two young men just capture this. And so, of course, I can't ever look at anything like that on YouTube without giving it some hours, and so I fall into it, and I pull up a young African American man named, I don't know if I'm supposed to do this or not, like as an endorsement, but look up Jamel, Jamel, and his reaction videos, okay? What does he react to? Grateful Dead, Dark Star, 26 minutes. He's sitting. Have you seen this? He's sitting there listening to this. Now, here's why that's meaningful to me, besides the fact I have a great affinity for that band that goes way back. This piece of music that he's listening to, it starts with one verse of lyric, and then it goes off into instrumentation. The one verse of lyric is shall we say, abstract, does not tell a story. It's just sort of an imprint of words. But then the music takes you. And Jamel sits back and he says, let's go on this journey. And what he didn't know, because it was his first time to hear this, and he hadn't read the comment thread that I'm sure all of the people like me provided, afterward, because we love to mansplain to folks who listen to music that we're familiar with, what it really means, and that night they broke a string, and all of the backstory of stuff, was that song on that particular live album is the first part of a suite of songs, which most of us who've listened to it for years see as a story beginning with the creation of the universe and moving to the descent into form of humanity down to the street level where we're living today and moving through chaos and finally into transition in a cover of an old song. It's a quest myth. And he knew that, not from a single word, but from maybe 12 or 16 bars of instrumental music going in. He says, we're going on a journey. What this reminded me of, again, is that there are forces and energies seeking entrance into our consciousness that are unexplainable, but are real, are maybe the most real thing there is. There's a journey coming for you. Actually, it's come for you. You're in the midst of it. Life may look random, may look like one unconnected day stapled onto another, or it may look like just crazy making repetition of duties with consequences. But it's really a quest. It's really a journey. But finally this. Another song I listened to this week. Queen, David Bowie wrote a song together called Under Pressure. And what this made me think of is I've been hunting for a word that would summarize what we're all going through right now. And we've talked about anxiety, grief, even joy, sometimes kind of a manic joy, confusion, despair, the whole spectrum of human feelings. To me, I believe now they all qualify as pressure. There's pressure on us. So a few words about pressure, to recontext pressure in our lives. It's not a bad thing. A balloon needs it to be a balloon. There is nothing sadder than an uninflated balloon, is there? They even look ugly. But blown up, and it's this beautiful thing, and it means surprise, and it means celebration, and it means enjoyment, and it requires this containment. The tires on our cars need pressure. This building needs pressure to stand. You might say a synonym is stress. Stress is required for us to even stand upright and walk across the room. But it's the management of the thing. And to change the pressure level doesn't mean creating a vacuum where the pressure was. It means releasing some of the pressure gradually. And at times taking on some more. Taking on some more pressure. If you've got room in your balloon before you pop, to take on some more so that somebody else doesn't pop. So that somebody else doesn't pop. Reverend Deborah Morwood of this center, hospice chaplain, took on COVID. Took on COVID. So that some others wouldn't pop. You know? People do this. They go out of their ways for one another. There's a line from Under Pressure, the song. And love dares you to care for the people on the edge of the night. And love dares you to care for the people on the edge of the night. Who are the people on the edge of the night? The people who are about to pop. The people who are on the edge of starvation, homelessness, or as I mentioned, I think it was in the talk here last week, the people who appear to have nothing wrong with them. The people who are not an identifiable demographic of suffering. And they're all smiles, or mostly, and they're about to pop. And to care for them. Well, how do you care for them if you can't identify them? Well, it's another way of going to spirit. It's another way of going to the something that knows everything when we don't know what to do. See, that won't just provide for you. When you say, I don't know how to get what I need, but there's something that does know, that's great. But when I don't know how to serve, there's something that does know. When I don't know whom to serve, there's something that does know. When I can't find the words, there's something that will either provide me with the words or remind me no words are necessary right now. That something else can take place. There are times to say yes to more stress. There are times to say no, thank you. I've had enough for right now. This is another line in the song, and love dares you to change our way of caring about ourselves. So there's a time to say, I can't take this on right now. I need to pass. I would not be well served serving you if I tried to do this. And the person you say that to may not understand in the moment. They may get kind of huffy, because, no, I thought you were my friend or my counselor or my practitioner or what have you. But you're actually modeling healthy behavior for them. And down the road, they'll be like, yeah, I get it now why that was so. So going forward in the week to come, the first, as we enter, this is, by the way, going to be the first week of our 36th year. If I have this right, and if I don't have this right, John Rennie, you will tell me. Yeah, you because I forget how that works. You count from zero and all that sort of stuff. Anyhow, moving forward, what I invite you to do is when you look in the mirror of the mind, what do you see? Do you look tired? What do you know to do about that? Do you look angry? What do you know to do about that? Do you look hopeful? Do you look like you're in the midst of something? It's a grand adventure. On the one hand, take good care of yourself. Get lots of sleep. Eat the right food. Get a flu shot. I'm your mother. Okay? Be sure to vote. You can do that while you're out getting the flu shot. Do these things. Take good care of yourself. While at the same time realizing you're a superhero just by being you. To the people around you, to people you haven't ever met. As you pass through their lives, you leave an indelible impression. They will say, I knew somebody who knew themselves. But that's not why to do it. Why to do it is so every day you grow in confidence and conviction that there is a power greater than you are, yet right where you are, a power that I am going to talk about in prayer right now. As we know together, there is one life, one presence. And I'm going to borrow an expression here from our dear friend, Reverend Arthur Johnson, who in a call the other night said there is the presence of God, and we must make it the present of God. The present of God, the now of God. That this isn't something that happened in antiquity, and this isn't something that's happening when everything's all straightened out in the great by and by. This is something that's happening right this moment. And where is it happening? It's happening here in me, the present of God, the present of first cause, the present of limitless creative ability is happening right where I am. I use that power constructively by framing thoughts of how I would have things be, since they can be any way at all, wrapping feeling around those thoughts and depositing those packages of energy into subconscious mind as a seed is planted in soil, where they are then free to grow, to sprout up, to flourish, and ultimately to provide, let's say, shade, like a great tree. And you know, there's squirrels who run around right about this time of year when the pecans are falling on the roof and the harvest time approaches. There's squirrels running around and they're burying nuts for the cold weather, even here where we are, where it doesn't get too fiercely cold. And they won't find all of those nuts again. They'll forget. They haven't made little maps for where the nuts are all buried. There's no app for that, so they'll lose track. And some of those nuts, undug up by the squirrel, will grow into trees. And the grandchild or great-grandchild or great-great-grandchild of that squirrel will run up and down that tree, unaware that it began as a hidden idea planted by an ancestor for a different purpose. So it is that you and I ride the waves of possibility that were established long before we were here. There's a cosmic intention that's flowing through us. Our part of the quest is to sniff that out, follow that thread, follow that hunch, that inclination in the gut. It tells us turn one way here when everybody else is turning the other. For a high and holy purpose have we come, and such a time as this. So you have and I have within us everything necessary for the fulfillment of the dream, starting with the recognition that we were whole, complete, and yes, even perfect to start with. For this knowing and its manifestation in form, I am so deeply grateful. I release this word now into the infinite, calling it done, and so it is.
No, I'm gonna make the attempt. Okay. There was a little fear there because I sprained my knee last Saturday. And I have been to see a doctor, and I'm going back to see a doctor, but as you can see, I'm walking for short periods of time. It may be a while before I run. And trust me, the weather outside is perfect for running. It's killing me that I can't run. So I'm having to do other things. But I don't know if y'all have been in the parks lately or just looked at your squirrels outside. They like got fat overnight. It's like from one week to the next, the squirrels went whoosh. So I'm sure some of that's just a winter coat. The weather dipped and they all went, oh, the weather's changing, which I had never noticed until I started feeding the squirrels in the park. So I was like, they were just there and running around, and now they see us and they know us and they come running, which is great fun. So it's definitely something I do for fun. But we're going to put a peg in this and send you out into the world to do your work, whatever that looks like, to play the cards that you have been dealt. And I'm going to echo the earlier statement. Please go and vote. My husband and I did. We went to the one that's closest to us is the Barbara Bush Library. And we got there at 7:30 in the morning. The weather was perfect. And there was a very long line, which made me very happy to see, except for the fact that then I had to go stand in that line. So it took just a little over an hour. And people were polite and wonderful, and we were all happy to be there. So please, yeah. And the poll workers were thrilled. They were all happy. So the earlier you vote, probably the happier the poll workers are going to be. So I definitely encourage that. And I have heard that there are secret pockets with no lines. So where I went, it's kind of a small venue. So yeah, there was going to be a line. So please vote. And I know Danielle has put the PayPal link in the comments. So definitely go look out for that. We appreciate anything and everything. And we are looking forward to the time that we can have you back in. Like Jesse said, hey, flu shot. This would be a good year to, if you don't usually get the flu shot, today might be a good year to think about it. I'm considering the flu shot. Yay. All right, so in that knowing, and in the fluffy fat squirrel knowing, I'm going to encourage you to take a nice deep breath. And know that there is one power, one presence, one life, one love. And as we move into fall, Spirit is showing us that love by turning the thermostat down, by fluffing up the squirrels, by changing the leaves on the trees. And Mother Nature is about to show us the best gift ever, the gift of letting go, the gift of resting, the gift of preparing for the next. So in the knowing that we are on a quest, on a journey, that we are our own myth makers, there is treasure to be found right within our own hearts. I'm knowing this love. I'm knowing this power. I'm knowing this presence. And I know this presence is in each and every one of you. And so you can see clearly now. The scales fall from your eyes, and you relax into the knowing that it is all good because it is all God. And I know this with gratitude. I know this with peace. I know this with joy. And I know this with enthusiasm. And I relax, release, and know it is so. And so it is.
Say with me now, something wonderful is happening through me.
Something wonderful is happening through me.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my body.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in my mind.
I feel it in everything I am.
I feel it in everything I am.
I choose it.
I choose it.
I trust it.
I trust it.
I use it.
I use it.
And I love it.
And I love it.
So it is.
And so it is.